The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene's alongside, and we are in the Wicked Weed studio. WickedWeedBrewing.com. Drink different. Free agent grades continuing here in the Sportsocracy. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you get all of our team-by-team coverage throughout the offseason here. And we begin with the Philadelphia Eagles. Free agency grades. I was a little more generous than Jeremy. I'm going C minus, excuse me.
See, but my grade goes back a long way because you did this to yourself. You took Jalen Hurts thinking, oh, he would beat our Taysom Hill. It'll be a No. Mm-hmm. No, what you did was you brought in a backup that fans watched in college, and you ran Carson Wentz out of town.
Yep.
And now I'm afraid you're going to see him in Indianapolis and go, oh, wait, we let that guy get out the door? That's not good. Because they have a legitimate line and legitimate weapons. Mm-hmm. I mean, in Philadelphia, you will in 2 years, too. Just Jalen Hurts is not going to be your quarterback.
I firmly believe that Carson Wentz still has a lot in him, and the Philadelphia Eagles made a horrible decision choosing Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz. This whole quarterback battle has been god-awful for the Philadelphia Eagles. And in their offseason, they went and got, well, at least they have another Super Bowl winning quarterback in the room now, but it's Joe Flacco.
Oh, Joe Flacco. Yeah, I'll tell you, as a Jets fan, he sucks something awful. If he takes a snap for you next year, you did it wrong.
He's going to have to take some snaps, though. I got a feeling. Something in me tells me that we are going to see Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles at some point next year.
And we're all going to
go, oh, you did it wrong.
I'm going to disagree. I think Philadelphia is committed to 16 games of Jalen Hurts. They're going to show the fan base exactly how bad it is, and then next year they're going to go get the quarterback they want.
Yeah.
Because they know how bad this is. And if you think I'm wrong, ask yourself this. Name the last young quarterback that had this shitty of an accompaniment. I'll wait, because I can't think. Sam Darnold's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, he's the
he at least had Jamison Crowder.
Right.
And Robbie Anderson and Chris Herndon. And, I mean, at least he had guys they had put draft capital in.
Right.
You're starting one guy that was a quarterback in college, another one that's been cut by 2 or 3 teams, and Jalen Reagor, who you took over Justin Jefferson. Brilliant.
The skill positions are horrible for the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't have a legitimate target on this team.
But now here's the thing I will say. You're still going to trade Zach Ertz, which will fetch some form of draft pick back. Mm-hmm. And I have a philosophy about the way teams run. If you're not a contender, be absolutely fucking terrible. And that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. This is going to be a bad year. There is no way that even the sunniest, rosiest, rose-colored glasses fan of the Philadelphia Eagles can tell me you think you're going to be better than 5-11 next year. Because let's face it, you just look in your division. Who are you better than? Mm-hmm. Cowboys? Not even close. Washington football team?
Nope.
Can't even see them. They're so far ahead of you. The Giants, they've got markedly better than you.
Yeah.
But this is a blip year. You got $40 million in dead cap that comes back next year after you swallow the frog this year, and you'll be able to build a team around whoever it is. And since you added a first-round draft pick, if you wind up at 3 and you're sold on whether it's Sam Howell or Keaton Slovis or whoever it could be, if there's a team in front of you that doesn't need a quarterback, you have the ammo to go get your guy.
Mm-hmm. In free agency, your idea, obviously, of every team is to improve your roster. And I feel like they improved at least in one spot. And the signing of Anthony Harris, I feel like that's an improvement over Jalen Mills. So
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I'll give you good credit for that. But other than that, I mean, you keep Jason Kelce, re-signing him.
You didn't give Jalen Mills 2 years, $12 million like New England did. And I understand it was 4 for 24, but they can get out of that deal after 2 years. You didn't do that, which is why you don't have a Gary Busey next to your name. And I'll be honest with you, I almost was nicer to them solely because they haven't signed deals that are going to hang around when this team's competitive again. I kind of feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here because I do. If you're going to be bad, be this. We don't add anything. We're god awful. They're 1-year deals, and we're wiping the decks clean.
Right.
So I will give them that. And this is a really good, historically, this is a really good drafting team that I would say can put a competitive team on the field in 2 or 3 years.
But with no more money left, they can't add anything else in free agency.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. The only thing I will tell you is if you want to know how they feel about Jalen Hurts, look at what they've done to make him successful. If they thought he was the guy, you would have something. You have nothing.
Last year, this team was a 4-win team in the god-awful NFC East division. And yes, I agree with you. Everybody else in this division has gotten better, while the Philadelphia Eagles have only gotten worse. So, over or under the number of wins they had last year?
I think 4 is the right number. I would say they're 4-12. And I think you'll be in the top 5 of the draft. You'll be able to add a quarterback. I mean, and let's face it, a year ago, I would have never said that Mac Wilson or Mac Jones or Zach Wilson, I combined those into one person.
You did.
I would have never said those guys were going to be top 5 picks. You never know. Quarterbacks come out of weird places. 2 years in a row we've had this happen. You know, with Joe Burrow 2 years ago, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones this year.
Right.
So there could be more quarterbacks. I think very highly of Sam Howell. I don't think this team's worse than Houston. Houston just strikes me as a team that is desperately trying to get to that Sam Howell, Keaton Slovis range.
Spencer Rattler.
I don't think Spencer Rattler's going to be a high-level NFL quarterback. But I said the same thing about Lamar Jackson, and I was wrong.
Yep.
I've said the same thing about a lot of guys. I mean, frankly, you know, I liked Josh Allen, but I had reservations about Josh Allen because I didn't think he was accurate enough. The game's changing. It is getting easier to find quarterbacks. That is, to me, that's not even debatable. So there are things about Philadelphia to be encouraged by. You don't have you're erasing a lot of bad debt this year. If you're going to move on from Carson Wentz, you had to swallow the frog. Eat that bad deal, eat that dead cap, and move on.
Yep.
And that's what you've done. And a year or two from now, you'll be competitive again.
Yep.
But it's going to be an ugly 12 to 24 months.
Yep. And now you've got another draft pick next year in the trade with Miami.
And I think they're going to wind up with a receiver at 12. I think that's why they moved down. If they didn't know they could get one of the guys they want, because it's become an open secret in the NFL that the Bengals are going to take Jamar Chase at 5.
Yes.
That makes it incredibly likely that either Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle are there at 12. So then you at least have a weapon moving forward. Not that it would help Jalen Hurts at all, but I don't care if he had Jerry Rice and Calvin Johnson. It doesn't really matter. He's just not a good NFL quarterback.
Right. So overall, C- from me for the Philadelphia Eagles. The mullet's going with a D-. And you said you considered the Gary Busey grade here?
Had they given out contracts that extended. You're just cleaning the decks. I mean, I can't be kind to you because you fucked the Carson Wentz thing up so badly.
Yep.
But now you're going to have a year of Jalen Hurts. You'll be able to say, look, we gave him a shot and he failed. And you'll draft a quarterback and you'll move on.
I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a lot of hope for this year, obviously, but maybe they can at least add some building blocks for future years. We are in the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Order today online at wickedweedbrewing.com. You can order for pickup or delivery if you live within the 15-mile radius of the brew pub in downtown Asheville. Time to talk about the New York Giants. The Giants have done some good things in this offseason. The New York Giants have done some good things in this offseason. Kenny Golladay being the number one signing for them. Obviously, if you have a quarterback like Daniel Jones, who tends to struggle, you want to surround him with the best weapons possible. Kenny Golladay, I don't think you could have done any better than picking him up as a wide receiver this year.
I like Kenny Golladay. And I think the deal was pretty reasonable. I mean, yeah, they paid a premium, but he's a premium player. I like the risk they took on Adoree Jackson because if he continues to be hurt, you can get out of it for very little. I mean, you lost Kevin Zeitler, but I look at them getting Nate Solder back, the ability to move, their first-round pick, Andrew Thomas, from last year to his natural right tackle position. To me, that almost feels like you're gaining two offensive line pieces at the same time. Andrew Thomas played last year, but he's not a left tackle. You know, when I reviewed him for the draft last year, that was the number one thing I said. If you try to play him on the left side, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Now, I think he can be a very quality right tackle. And then you mix in the addition of Kyle Rudolph, and you've got pieces. Daniel Jones has no more excuses. And to me, that's the number one thing you had to do in this offseason. You had to put him in a position to succeed. If he doesn't succeed, you know you don't have a quarterback, and you move on. And that's why they get an A. One of very few A's I've given out all offseason long.
I gave him a B just because I don't like John Ross. I don't like Kyle Rudolph. I don't like Devontae Booker. Like, these are just
But you took all of the ancillary pieces. You buried the narrative. The narrative is you have Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is now your one, which means Sterling Shepard is he's your slot guy, but naturally he's going to be your two. And then you got Darius Slayton as your three. How many teams have weapons better than that in the NFL? Honestly.
Oh, I don't know.
If you had to grade receivers, where would you put the Giants in the NFL?
6 or 7,
It's
probably.
up there. So you could convince me 5 to 8. I mean, they're not as good as Tampa Bay, and there's a few other teams that I don't think they're as good as. But you have above average to really good pieces around Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Plus, you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield. You still got Evan Ingram, who's the ultimate misused piece. Hopefully, Jason Garrett can figure out how to do that this year. And I think the defense is going to be better. Plus, you're picking at 11. I really like this as a landing spot for Micah Parsons if the character concerns are alleviated. There are a lot of character concerns with him.
Such as what?
He's apparently not a very nice guy. Let me put it that way.
I really don't care that he's not a nice guy. You mean to his teammates?
No, this is a guy that has suspect decision-making, and he's kind of a jackass.
Okay.
That's the reason he's falling. Between the opt-out and personality. I'll be honest with you, had he not just run a 4.39, I wouldn't be shocked if they could have gotten him in the second round. That's how bad this has gotten. Because it is, anytime I hear this from every team I talk to, it's a very good indicator that this is well-known. This is not somebody has a grudge or, they were a dick to one guy and that guy's trying to no, this has been everybody I've talked to.
Yeah.
But if they could wind up with a linebacker like that, Jameer Phillips out of Kentucky, it's another guy that I like. They need linebacker help for sure. But the good thing about what they've done is that you have filled all of your needs to a passable point. There's not a fatal flaw of this team anymore. Now you can go get the best player available. If you fall in love with Micah Parsons, go get him. If you fall in love with Caleb Farley, go get him. Whatever the case may be. Whoever it is that you're totally in on, that's the guy that you can go draft. And that's what I look for in off-season rebuilds. I don't want to be in a position like the Cincinnati Bengals were in, where if you don't take a tackle or a wide receiver, you probably did it wrong because you haven't done enough to help your young quarterback. Gettleman has done enough to help Daniel Jones. If he is a legitimate NFL starter, we will know that within 8 weeks of next year. Because if you can't throw to Kenny Golladay and Sterling Shepard, you're probably not a starter in this league.
Right.
Especially when you have Saquon Barkley behind you.
The weapons are vastly improved. The offensive line is still a concern for me because it wasn't great last year. And, Saquon Barkley has struggled behind this offensive line. Now, hopefully, let's be honest about that offensive line. All right, so now you got Nate Solder coming back at left tackle. Yes.
I would say that's average to slightly above average in the NFL.
Indeed.
He's oversized to me, and he's not as good as his reputation says he is, but he's still a good left tackle in this league. I think Will Hernandez is a good guard.
I do too.
And I think his name went right out of my head. Andrew Thomas on the right side. I think that's another valuable piece. Another guy that people aren't going to talk about is Matt Pert. second-year guy out of UConn. I projected him as a guard. They like Shane Lemieux as well.
I like him as well.
I think you have pieces here. I think you have guys that, maybe somebody has to learn a new position. Maybe Shane Lemieux winds up playing center. He played that for a little bit at Oregon. I just look at the line and go, you have pieces that you can move. Now it's not we have to shoehorn Andrew Thomas into playing left tackle. That's when you have terrible offensive line play. When you can let guys battle it out and we play the five that are the best, that's when you have a substantial growth in offensive line play. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Giants this year.
I think the Giants did do very well in upgrading their secondary with the Adoree Jackson signing. He's a guy he's super fast.
He stays hurt. But, I look at James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson, and Darnay Holmes, who's a guy that I really liked coming out of the draft last year from UCLA. That's a competitive, high-level secondary.
Yes.
And be really honest. You play Jalen Hurts 2 times a year, and you play Ryan Fitzpatrick 2 times a year. That's good enough to win some games.
It's good enough to win a few games, and I think that the Giants are, like we have said, I think they're improved, no doubt. But whether or not they're a contender remains to be seen. Because I still feel like they're the third best team in this division.
They can contend to win this division, and I firmly believe that. If Daniel Jones can be even an average NFL quarterback and stop turning the damn ball over, I think this can be a 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, 10-16. Depends on how the schedule falls out.
Yeah.
We're going to 17 games, so I got to learn to start saying 10-7, 9-8. Oh, that's going to be a pain in the dick. I already hate that with everything I am.
We'll give you a break on it since it's going to be the first year of the 17-week season, but it is going to be something to get used to. The Giants, I did like their offseason mostly. To me, it was just, it was a lot of the depth piece signings that I was kind of off on. Kenny Golladay is a great addition, but I still don't like your quarterback. I really don't. And it's as Jeremy said, it's only time will tell with Daniel Jones and whether or not he can be a good quarterback in this league.
But you put him in a position to succeed. Of course. There are no more excuses. If he's bad after this year, you move on. And that's all you can ask for with a quarterback in the situation Daniel Jones is in.
Agreed. That's why I went with the B. Jeremy going with the A. The New York Giants, again, there's some good to look forward to in the future there. I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene alongside, as always, in the Wicked Weed studio. Don't forget to make your order today online at wickedweedbrewing.com. Also, check them out for all the swag at wickedweedgear.com. You can visit any of their 4 locations here in the Asheville area. wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed Brewing, drink different. Now it's time to get into the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, he is re-signed. We no longer have to talk about this, whether or not Dak's going to come back or whatnot. He gets the long-term deal, and I think it's going to make a huge difference in their team, that they no longer have to worry about this. And the fact that their defense is going to be a little bit better this year as well.
Markedly improved. As long as Nolan is not there, it can't be any worse. For the love of God, if he ever gets another job in the NFL, you're doing it wrong. Mike Nolan was that bad. Going back to the 3-4, which is what this team is built to do, part of my grade is that they just didn't give up on guys, which they could have. They could have given up on Jalen Smith. Wouldn't have made any sense to me, but they could have.
Right.
Didn't do that, re-signed Dak Prescott. That was really, to me, that was the 2 biggest objectives of the offseason. Your offense is fine. And Ezekiel Elliott's on a bloated contract, and I don't know that he will ever be that running back again. But I think he's still going to be serviceable. I don't think it's going to be. You're not going to be as bad running the ball as you were last year.
I agree with that. And I think the defense, adding Keanu Neal, adding DeMonte KZ, both guys coming over from Atlanta.
I love KZ.
Where their new defensive coordinator came from. These are 2 guys that he really, really likes.
I love DeMonte KZ.
What about him?
There's just something. He plays with a reckless abandon that I'm a big fan of with safeties, especially sub-package safeties. Because that is a dude that can come, if he can stay healthy. He has had a lot of health issues.
As has Keanu.
He has, but you got him on a value. This is a guy that if he comes in and plays to the level of what I have seen him play, this is one of the value signings of the year. Now, I don't know how I feel about him at sub linebacker and things like that, but Dan Quinn knows better than I do. Coached him for a long time, so I would wager he knows markedly better than I do. And I'll be honest with you, I'm biased because I'm a Jets fan. I liked the signing of Terrell Basham. That's a rotational piece that can get after a quarterback. He didn't have a huge role with the Jets. He didn't fit the scheme there completely well because they needed a guy that was a legitimate, can win by himself. Not necessarily what you need when you've got DeMarcus Lawrence on the field. You already have one of those. This is a guy that can be the cleanup crew, the Trey Hendricks in effect. I actually really like that signing. It's the reason it's the other one on the screen.
Still feel like they've got some things that they need to shore up the secondary with.
Corner.
Gotta
for
go
the
for
love
corners.
of God, draft Patrick Surtain. There's very little I'm confident of with a month to go before the draft.
Right.
If Pat Surtain's on the board at 10 when Dallas comes up, that's who they're taking. And as well they should.
That is the one thing that killed you last year. Well, your entire defense was god-awful last year. But you can't continue to go through and have Dak Prescott putting up historic numbers and your defense doing the same thing. It just won't work. So, yes, going back to the 4-3 is going to matter, but you got to be
3-4.
What?
3-4.
Oh, excuse me. Wait. Okay. Going back to the 3-4, excuse me. I had that backwards.
Mike Nolan ran the 4-3.
I thought it was the other way around.
Maybe it is. Now you got me second guessing.
I think it is the other way around. But anyway, switching the defensive scheme is obviously going to help. I feel like Dan Quinn is a really good defensive coordinator in this league. We know he was not a good head coach, but he is a really good defensive coordinator that is going to make a difference for this Dallas Cowboys team. Now, to me, the pressure is completely on Mike McCarthy now. You have no excuse, barring another catastrophic injury, of this team being bad. This team even being mediocre would be a failure. You have to come in and you have to be 10-7, or this season's a failure. Do you agree?
I would agree with that. By the way, they're running a hybrid of both.
Okay.
Dan Quinn's done both, and apparently he plans on it. There's pieces here, like Terrell Basham fits in a 3-4. But if they're going to be multiple, then that makes me like that even better. This defense is going to be markedly improved just because Dan Quinn's such a good coordinator. I understand he was not a great head coach. I understand his time management skills leave a lot to be desired. He still got to a Super Bowl as a head coach. Not a lot of guys have done that. And he was an elite defensive coordinator. I like him with McCarthy. I think the hate on McCarthy got ridiculous last year. He trusted the wrong guy. He trusted Mike Nolan, and he shouldn't have. And it took him 1 year to figure it out and unwind it. And they spent a shitload of money to go get a high-end defensive coordinator.
Right.
If your defense is half-assed with what Dak Prescott was doing when he got hurt last year, if he's 80% of that, and your defense is even nominally improved, you're the second best team in this division.
Agreed.
You're battling with the Giants because I think the Giants are close to the Cowboys. But I think the two of them are close to the Washington football team is the best team in this division too. The only team that I would be stunned if they won this division is the Eagles. If the Eagles win this division, then the apocalypse has happened. The four horsemen have shown up and we're all fucked.
I think there's zero chance of that happening. I like the Dallas Cowboys to be contenders in the NFC overall. They could, their ceiling is a team that can go to the Super Bowl. Their floor, to me, has to be 2 games over 500. Or else you've wasted all this time. You've got all of this talent on the offensive side of the ball. It has to be done now.
I would say
you have to win.
You have a shitload of draft capital, too. I mean, this team has, 10 picks? Is that right? 10 picks.
Something like that, yeah.
They have a comp pick in every round that comp picks are a thing except the last one. You have a ton of ability to get better, and I think they're going to. Patrick Surtain would change how I feel completely about this defense.
Yes.
Because that gives you one guy that I feel really good about being on an island by himself.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree. The Dallas Cowboys, it's win or get Mike McCarthy the fuck out of there.
If you can't win, if you don't markedly improve from last year, year 3 with Mike McCarthy is not going to matter because it's not going to be a thing.
Right. If they're around the 500 mark, I think they'll have to move on from the coach after this year. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we are in the Wicked Weed studio. Check him out at wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed Brewing, drink different. And now the Washington football team. Free agency grades for Ryan Fitzpatrick's 9th team in the NFL. He is he is quickly on his way to trying to play for half of the league. And I think this is, I love the Curtis Samuel signing, but also the Ryan Fitzpatrick signing I think might be my favorite of the entire group. Just because he gets another chance to be a starter in this league. I think this is probably his last stop as a starter. But there again, we're hearing rumors that they might be interested in drafting a quarterback.
I'll believe that when I see it. I don't see how you're going to carry all these quarterbacks because you have Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think you're going to go a year with the intention of that being what you got. And then a year from now, you make another decision because I don't see Fitzpatrick playing more than one more year. But he showed Miami. He can be a good quarterback in this league. Now you have weapons. There's not many teams in the NFL that have weapons that are as explosive as Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Antonio Gibson. That's pretty damn good.
Why did you ding them on your grade? I thought for sure this would be an A from you.
Because I'm still not convinced that Ryan Fitzpatrick is markedly better than Alex Smith or markedly better than Taylor Heineke.
He's not really.
That's the thing is that you said it's one of your favorite signings. Is it though? It's still a guy that turns the ball over a lot, and that makes me nervous. I guess my problem with them is you brought in a gunslinger, which is what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. You have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And now you got William Jackson that's going to serve as the one in that defense. You get pressure with Chase Young. The one thing I don't want you to do is turn the damn ball over. And you brought in a guy that's historically been known for doing that. So that would be my one. And I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, but I'm not trying to say I don't like this deal.
Right.
It's just a little bit of a schematic confusion to me. I liked Alex Smith, who never turns the ball over ever. This was a place that I really liked Tyrod Taylor if they were going to take a rookie. But at the same time, I don't know how many other options you had. This is not a team that had a shitload of money, and there weren't really a shitload of quarterbacks out there.
Right.
I really like the idea of Darnold being here.
But if you were going to go the free agent route, so Tyrod Taylor, you say that would have been your go-to guy?
I thought they were either going to trade for Sam Darnold or they were going to trade up for a rookie. The Ryan Fitzpatrick thing, I'm not going to lie to you, it never crossed my mind until it crossed the AP wire.
Right.
And I'm fine with it. You're a competitive team. You were a division winner last year. I could easily see a path you're a division winner again. You didn't want to turn the reins of this over to a rookie. I completely get that. At the same time, I think that kind of limits your ceiling a little bit. That's my only ding on them.
Okay.
Nothing too aggressive. I don't hand out A's very easily. And I like the Curtis Samuel deal. I think they got him on a nice value. They paid about what William Jackson was worth. It's not a ton of value, but you got better.
The William Jackson signing to me was the thing that put it over the top, that put me over the top to give them an A for this offseason. Because he's a very, very good defensive back, and I think with that, to me, that was the biggest hole of this team. Obviously, they can get pressure up front with everything that they have. Adding to the secondary, a guy like William Jackson is just a home run. And he's an improvement over Ronald Darby.
He's an improvement. I'm not discrediting that. He was a very expensive improvement. I think the Curtis Samuel, the one I can't get away from is Curtis Samuel. You added a very multiple piece, a very pre-snap motion-y piece. It makes it really hard to fixate on Antonio Gibson. I think this is going to be a nice weapon for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I still like Logan Thomas at tight end. I still like Antonio Gandy Golden, a guy they took last year. That I'm going to speak that into being a thing. Him and Donovan Peoples-Jones, that's 2 late-round guys from last year. I'm going to speak those into being things.
I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is probably closer.
Oh, 100% he's closer.
To being a thing.
He also has a shitload more in front of him in Cleveland than Antonio Gandy Golden has here.
Another thing that I really liked about Washington's offseason was the fact that they added Adam Humphries.
I like that one, too.
Adam Humphries, he's the slot guy that Ryan Fitzpatrick said he loved playing with the most out of his entire career. He's been to 9 different teams now. And Adam Humphries, he and Ryan Fitzpatrick had a hell of a chemistry with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a few years ago. I really like that sign. I think he's going to be an unsung piece of this Washington football team offense. We knew the defense was great. Now the offense is really scary. Between all the pieces that you have, you've got the comfortability of the Adam Humphries signing. Obviously, Curtis Samuel going to join his former coach in Carolina. I love the Washington football team, and I never thought I would say that.
I didn't either. I'll be honest with you. For them, when we do our final offseason grades after the draft, if they add somebody like Elijah Vera Tucker or Christian Darrisaw in the first round, and they kind of fortify that line, because that is something that makes me a little bit nervous. I don't love them at the tackle spot right now. If they can do that, then this becomes an A, and they've had one of the best off seasons of any team in the NFL.
I think it could be a dogfight between them and the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East this year. It's a race that I see being within a game, and I expect both of those teams to be well over 500, which is a far cry from what they were this past season, obviously. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. We're in the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. We'll see you next time.